The countdown is on, but you're not alone. This is Countdown to College, your weekly guide from Education Quest Foundation, here to help you plan, apply, and pay for college one step at a time. I'm your host, Gage, and joining us today on the podcast is Jason Gault, Technology Integration Specialist at Norris School District. Hi, Jason. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm always excited to talk AI, and I think it's an important time to do that. So hopefully the information that I share makes sense and has the ability to help others. So once again, thanks again for having me.
Yeah, like you said, AI is everywhere right now, and students are already using it in the classrooms. So in this episode, Jason and I are going to kind of just talk about how to use AI responsibly, where the boundaries are, and how to use it in a way that can kind of help you, learn, not just do your assignments for you. So Jason, let's just start kind of big picture. AI has come a long way. How are students currently using it for their coursework?
Well, I think our students are using it quite a bit now, whether it's for brainstorming or summarizing complex chapters that maybe they didn't actually read, polishing their writing. Honestly, some of those uses are great, but we of course see the flip side to that as well. And students are trying to offload their entire assignments and hope no one notices, and that their writing suddenly sounds like a 47-year-old professor who has very strong opinions about abstract expressionist style paintings, because I noticed that one in your background there. So
yes.
So that's usually a dead giveaway. But I think the issue is that technology, it's a tool for experts to offload tasks, right? But students aren't our experts yet. So I really like that term offload, and I use it a lot. I mentioned it earlier, and I picked it up ironically when I was using AI to summarize the most recent Senate hearing on technology's impact on kids. That was the January 15th, I think, Senate hearing, where they came out with kind of the screen time suggestions. And during that hearing, I think it was Dr. Jared Horvath. He's kind of an Australian neuroscientist and educator. He had said that technology is a tool for experts to offload their skills, but not for novices to learn how to become experts. And I think this just kind of jives really well with student utilization of tech here at Norris and probably everywhere, and specifically AI. So I always like to tell students, if you use words or thoughts in your assignments that you can't really define in person, you're not building your brain muscles. And yeah, brain muscles are real. And we really need our kids to be smarter than we are moving forward into this world of AI.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about that. Like, where is the line between using AI as a learning tool and then it crossing into academic dishonesty?
Yeah, I think it's clearer than we probably think. AI, it should make you smarter, not just make you done faster. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we really need to explore that from an educational standpoint. If you can explain your work without reading it off screen, like you're seeing it for the first time, you're probably in the clear. But if AI is basically your stunt double, right, where it's doing the thinking for you, then that crosses into territory. So I think we have to ask, are you offloading skills you actually need, like writing and problem solving, or the ability to read more than 3 acts of Hamlet without falling asleep? If so, AI isn't helping you learn, it's helping you avoid the exact struggle that builds growth in our kids.
Yeah, and so when we're talking about, instead of using it as something that it just takes all of your tasks away from you, how can students actually use AI to strengthen their own thinking and work instead of just letting it do the work for them?
Yeah, that's a great question too. I think AI works best as a coach, not a clone. Instead of asking it to write this for me, maybe prompting AI, say something like, I'm struggling to understand this concept. Can you explain it to me like I'm a high school senior who hasn't had their Monster Energy drink yet, right? So that kind of keeps you, the student, in the driver's seat. And I like to use the analogy of AI as being like GPS. It's there to guide you, but it's definitely not Tesla's full self-driving mode. It's the difference between getting on a treadmill and running, or then just hanging out, watching somebody else run on it while you stand there with your Monster Energy drink. One of those actually gets you results. The other one just makes you feel like you're part of the process.
Yeah, and I liked what you mentioned earlier about, making sure that you're able to actually like explain yourself the concepts, and if you use fancy words or phrases, because once you get to college and you're asked to stand up and defend your papers, your presentations, you're going to want to be able to explain yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think we're seeing more of that, especially at the high school, where teachers are having students defend their writing and defend some of their thoughts just to confirm the legitimacy of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, when we're talking about, what kinds of assignments is like AI most helpful for, what kind of assignments are those, and where should students be, more cautious with AI?
Yeah, I think AI is fantastic for that blank page problem, right? Where we've got a student that doesn't know what they're going to write about, how they're going to start this assignment. So utilizing it for brainstorming, outlining, maybe helping revise something you've already written. It's also great for generating practice problems as well. Now, where you have to be careful is with personal reflections, right? And anything where the struggle is the actual point of the lesson itself.
Now, I know there are hundreds, maybe thousands of AI tools at this point. So what are just some of the most effective AI tools for students to utilize in the classroom, in your opinion? Just because I know there's so many out there.
Yeah, if I were to share our AI document that we send out to our staff, I mean, we started out this process 3.5 years ago, and we had just your big LLMs, right? There was like 4 or 5 of them. And I think we're down to, like you said, hundreds of AI tools that are available. And that's great, but it makes it really tough because from an organizational standpoint, a school district, we're having to vet these things and make sure age limitations are correct and are they really educational. So we're fortunate, we're a Google reference district. So we kind of live and die by the Google for Education ecosystem. So for our high schoolers, the LLM that they have the ability to utilize is Gemini for Education, and it's directly integrated into their Google Docs, their slides, Google Classroom. But I also wanted to mention, too, the tool that kind of really changed the game for us, even down to our third graders, has been Notebook LM, which is a Google product. I like to think of it as kind of like a digital study sanctuary. The walls are made entirely of our vetted curriculum and our teacher resources. And unlike a full-scale LLM that pulls from the open internet, Notebook LM only uses sources that students and teachers provide it. So students can chat with their own notes, generate study guides, listen to audio, video overviews, lots of cool things. And while kids are using those, obviously our teachers are using some of those other AI elements like School AI. Magic School is another one that we see a lot of use, and they kind of help to create these safe, monitored, walled garden sandboxes for learning. But honestly, the tool isn't really the magic. The intentionality of it is.
Yeah, I've been very interested to hear how, the AI process has been going in high schools. And I've heard about Notebook LM and the, ability to kind of put up those walls and pull from sources that only you provide. I just think that's really interesting.
Yeah, and it provides you some security and protection, obviously, when you have either Gemini, which is utilized at our high school, which is logged, and they're not sharing the information that our students are providing it with other trained models. And LM, obviously, with the way that it's just utilizing the resources you provide it to reference things. It from the tech side of things, it kind of eases some of our stress when it comes to worrying about what kids are accessing or what they're trying to access.
Yeah, just more in like the school side still. How are schools and counselors and instructors checking whether AI was used in assignments, and what should students kind of understand about that process?
Yeah, well, here's a secret. Contrary to popular belief, like there's no magic AI detector out there. There's stuff that we utilize here that helps, but the AI detectors, they're about as reliable as predicting Nebraska weather in February, right? 75 degrees yesterday, hoping to get to 50 today and high winds. I think a lot of teachers actually rely on the old vibe check, right? So if you sent your teacher an email last week that was like, "Hey, thanks," and now your essay today is the juxtaposition of industrialization is paramount, right? Uh, you're going to probably have a chat with that teacher. So that's that withedness, that vibe check. Our teachers do run version history extensions. That's a helpful way for them to track the process of document creation, like copy and pastes, right? And our high school language arts department utilizes No Red Ink, which has kind of a plagiarism AI detector component as well. But most of the time, teachers, they're not trying to catch you. They're really just trying to figure out if any learning has actually happened. So a lot of that can be prompted based on, man, this just doesn't sound like your voice in writing. Can you tell me more about this? And then usually that's where things get vetted.
Now, Jason, since AI obviously isn't going anywhere, how can we help students learn to use it responsibly rather than just trying to avoid it altogether?
Well, I mean, we help them use AI the same way we helped them with the internet, with the calculator, right? You got to have clear expectations, and you have to do a lot of modeling. And we have to be honest about our own habits too, as teachers and educators. If we use tools to skip the hard parts of our thinking, our stamina for difficult tasks declines. Students, they really don't necessarily need less tech. They just need more intentional tech, I believe. And guess who has to provide that intentionality? That's us, right?
Now, from like your perspective, from an educator's perspective, what does appropriate or responsible AI use look like?
Yeah, I think it means that students remain the agent of their own thinking, right? AI can clarify, it can revise and question, but the core ideas have to belong to the kid, right? If AI does all that heavy lifting, then we're just building dependence, and educators aren't in the business of building dependence. We're in the business of building thinkers, right? Who can hold on to their own in college and beyond, be successful human beings.
Now, actually shifting more towards using these AI tools, a big thing is writing AI prompts. So why is knowing how to write good AI prompts such an important skill for students? And how can they start actually building that skill if they've never even, touched an LLM before?
Sure, yeah. But in prompting, it's basically probably considered the new literacy. It teaches kids to be precise and strategic. Writing a good prompt, like writing a good question, which we've been teaching kids forever, right? How to create good questions. If it's vague, you get junk, right? Garbage in, garbage out. If it's clear, you get gold. And it's a skill that also transfers everywhere, from group projects to, I don't know. I think back like when I was looking at this question, explaining to customer support why your smart fridge is suddenly speaking in German. That's a true story that happened to me, right? So being able to give clear directions to AI, you can give clear directions to human teams as well. And that's kind of a great transfer of skills, right?
Yeah, staying with the topic of skills, how can those strong AI skills translate into advantages for students, not only when they get to college, but also when they get to the career world, which is also constantly adapting to AI right now?
Right. And the good news, I think, is that AI is not going to replace the student who thinks deeply and questions assumptions, right? But it's going to replace the repetitive robotic tasks that used to take up all our time. So I think the student who uses AI intentionally, those will be the ones who lead for us. And it's a massive advantage, right, for research and organization. In it, kind of, I guess in short, it's AI is not going to replace you, but someone who knows how to use AI better than you might replace you, right? I think we really have to look at it as it's in this critical moment in our lives. This has really, it's changed a lot. It's changed, I would argue, everything in terms of what's going to happen for the future of our students right now that are in K-12 and moving on to college and possibly the real world and what those jobs are going to look like in the future. Certainly AI will have something to do with that, and how you react and how you rely on AI is going to determine probably how successful you become.
Absolutely. Okay, Jason, any final advice for any high school students right now?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I'm optimistic of AI in education. And I think our knee-jerk reaction early on, Gage, was like, turn it off, block it. You know what I mean? And I think we looked at it obviously with intentionality, and we had some adjustments that were made to our policy and procedure. But as a tech team and as an administrative staff here at Norris, we've always taken the direction of like, okay, this is a powerful tool. Obviously, any powerful tool can be used the wrong way. We've got to focus on how do we teach our kids to do it the right way. And we can do that, and we'll do that all the way down into our intermediate level grade levels where, they're legally not even logging into LLMs. They don't have Notebook LM, not necessarily accessible to them yet. But we can teach them prompting. We can teach them how to spot AI created images and AI created writing. Those are all skills that we feel important to teach them how to use it appropriately. Because the tools can open doors to incredible creativity and accessibility for our kids, right? But if we don't decide when and why we use the AI tools, they're going to decide for us. So at the end of the day, like a degree from a great college, like that's a testament to your grit, right? Your growth, not necessarily your Wi-Fi connection and the ability to generate text. So we got to teach students how to struggle, how to question, how to build real understanding, because we want students who can think with AI, not students who think AI can think for them. So I think it's going to be pretty neat to watch over the next 5 to 10 years and see the direction that AI takes in education and obviously in higher ed and further on into the real world.
Okay. Well, that wraps us up. Thank you again, Jason, for joining us.
Hey, you're welcome, Gage. Anytime. Appreciate it.
And to our audience, if you ever need help with anything college related, you can contact an Education Quest office near you for free help. You can find our contact information or schedule an appointment on educationquest.org. Finally, just help us get this message out to as many students and families as possible by subscribing to this podcast on your favorite platform and hitting the like button on this episode. Thank you for watching and listening, and we will see you next week.